It's the 26th of July 2012. Good evening and welcome to Joy News at 8 with me, Gifty Ando Apia.
And I am Derek Olalam Johnson with the first story. 2 days after the demise of former President Professor John Evans Atta Mills, his residence, Reggie Manuel Gray Estates at Airport, continues to be the most visited, drawing dignitaries from far and near. Joy News' Gifty Ando Apia was also there and replayed the solemn moments.
If you do not know the residence of the former president but need to get there, it is simple. Just follow a fleet of cars along the Spinters Road, and when you see these decorations, you know you are there. The very quiet vicinity is now partially occupied by security operatives. Indeed, the former First Lady of the nation deserves the protection. The home, which now misses the presence of Professor John Evans Atta Mills, is currently under heavy security protection. No cameras are allowed in, only journalists are. Dignitaries, friends and colleagues continue to walk in and out of the premises to sign a book of condolence. They also encourage the former First Lady, although some leave rather too sad themselves. Notable amongst dignitaries at the residence today were the Chief Imam, Sheikh Nuhu Shaributu, who urged the grieving family to remain calm in the thought that God, who loves President Mills more, has come for him. Mr. Eccles Pio Gabra, Mrs. Betty Modi Drisu, and Amanziba Natibru and his family were also there. Our camera could not capture her, but when I saw Dr. Nadu Mills, she did look very strong and well encouraged, with Dr. Kwesi Boche and Reverend Amodako firmly by her side. For Joy News, Gifty Ando Apia.
So as the days rush by after the death of the president, many more people continue to send across their condolences, especially the international communities represented here in Ghana. They signed a book of condolence in memory of the departed President John Evans Atta Mills at the Flagstaff House as they pay their last respect. I have put together some of their condolences.
I'm sure that it will survive even this and maybe come out even stronger.
By the name either of Sahrawi and the government would like to express of our standing behind the Ghanaian people in this difficult time.
En apprenant la nouvelle de son Excellence, Monsieur le Président, Professeur Atta Mills et mon pays, le gouvernement, très touché.
The government is expressing regret for the death of the President, late President Atta Mills.
Nous remettons à Dieu, nous demandons à Dieu que son âme repose en paix et qu'il y ait la paix pour les Ghana, pour cette élection, car les Ghana, c'est le modèle d'Afrique. Merci beaucoup.
She's still expressing regret and wish Ghana all the best for the future, and would always say that the relationship between their country and Ghana will be well bridged for the better.
On behalf of my executive director, the UNICEF executive director, Mr. Anthony Lake, the regional director of UNICEF and the entire UNICEF staff. I want to say that we are all very saddened and shocked, by this sad loss. President Mills was the father of the nation, and especially for all the children. And we only pray that at this time, that God, that his soul rest in peace, and the good Lord consoles the entire nation and gives the nation the fortitude to bear the loss. I also pray for good economic growth, continued peace in Ghana, and that Ghana continues to experience peace, growth, and I pray for all Ghanaians.
I would like to express our deepest sorrow and shock and regret for the unfortunate and untimely death of His Excellency the late President John Evans Atta Mills. And I would like also to convey the condolences of His Excellency President Al-Bashir to the government and the people of Ghana to this very sad incident, and also the condolences and sorrow of His Excellency the first Vice President of Sudan, also to the people, the government, and the new President of Ghana for this very tragic incident.
As the United Nations President Coordinator Arlington, we are shocked and saddened by the loss of the great leader. On behalf of the UN system in Ghana, I convey our heartfelt condolences to the people of Ghana and to the family of the great leader, John Atta Mills.
Well, on behalf of the Government of Canada, all Canadians, and myself personally, I want to extend deepest condolences to all Ghanaians and to the family of His Excellency the President. He was a true leader, and his commitment to peace and stability went beyond Ghana's borders. His Excellency spoke very fondly of the time he spent in Canada as an academic, and where he was a messenger for Ghana and for Africa. Also, his deep respect for our long partnership and development deepened our bonds immensely. He will be missed, and may he rest in peace.
People of Egypt, the President of Egypt, His Excellency President Mohamed Morsi, the government of Egypt, and also the Egyptian community in Ghana. It is a difficult moment that we share the compassion with the Ghana people in this very tragic event. The legacy of His Excellency President Atta Mills will be not only remembered in Ghana and Africa, but worldwide. His wise leadership will be remembered and engraved in diplomacy, and his hard work for the people and the whole African continent.
Condolences and sadness on the demise of His Excellency Professor John Atta Mills, the late President of the Republic of Ghana. He was a very humble, and also he was a very charismatic leader of this society, and I would like to just express on behalf of the government and also the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran on this sad occasion, and I hope that his soul will rest in peace. And also we want to just give our condolences to the family of late President.
D'écrire dans le livre que, au nom de son Excellence Alassane Ouattara, président de la République de Côte d'Ivoire, nous présentons nos condoléances attristés et émus au peuple frère du Ghana.
And on behalf of all Côte d'Ivoire and His Excellency President Alassane Ouattara, we present our condolences to all the country of Ghana and the family members of the deceased, His Excellency Professor John Evans Atta Mills. Also his wife.
En cette douloureuse circonstance,
in these sorrowful circumstances,
nous assurons le Ghana,
we assure Ghana,
the people
et le gouvernement
and the government
de notre grande affliction
et de notre profonde compassion.
For our great compassion.
Nous prions Dieu le Tout-Puissant, Dieu Tout-Puissant, maître de toute créature, de lui accorder sa miséricorde et une place de choix dans son céleste royaume.
We pray God the Almighty to give His Excellency Professor John Atamil a good rest.
I am the ambassador of Switzerland and I'm here on behalf of the Swiss Federal Council, who asked me to convey the deepest condolences not only of the authorities of Switzerland but also of the population for the great loss that the nation of Ghana has incurred. We grieve with the people, we extend our condolences, and we rest assured that Ghana will find a way to come out of this grief strengthened.
I met him sometimes as a French ambassador, and I did appreciate very much his opening-minded. I would like to present in my personal name and on behalf of France my deepened condolences to the Ghanaian people for the loss of the President Atta Mills. It's a great loss for everybody and for myself, and so I would like to present the friendship of France for the Ghanaian people.
We're still mourning, and let's get to the regions and see what we've got from the various. Now, many residents Joy News have been talking to in the Bono Hafo region have described the demise of the former President Mills as unfortunate and too sudden. The loss, they say, is a big blow to National Democratic Congress and Ghanaians at large.
I called my friend and he told me that it's unfortunate that we have lost our beloved president, John Evans Atta Mills. Actually, it was a shocking news when my friend told me. I mean, it wasn't up to an hour when I heard from the media that we have lost our president.
Peace. Papa no wa potre. Him present to be our baby asma. Ya did that to papa. Papa no abre. You need some fast. Papa ko nyana wa nyame ho. Nti ya ni abre wan chima ya ni abre wan chi ndc ya ni abre papa Ghana nyina ya ni abre. Papa no wona haye. Papa no wona haye ntimi kasa. And I say, my wife, you are so romantic. Miss, so you are missing. Only I am Papa, no bread. I dear mammy, soon only so fast. Abandon the abaco, Papa, you are about it. And send me a cabuna so send family. Papa, let me so find the apple. Papa, you call your Sabaye. Papa ya trase bohu no wafa okobie kwa we okobie school adan we okobie we papa ya trase papa yi ka se woko Lagos Nigeria ya ho anla papa yi se edere ko wanya na baby ko me ya a chance ana me nyina ya mbasa timi se wo ba pa baby sa na mo yi bi ase timi se wo ba pa baby sa said the Martini, I am in me, to be do animal who say, I am not correct, say a man paying or feeding.
And man, so say, you will have your tea, radio announcement. Now, you can't think, I think they acquire not a duro TV so. You run on a fair in China. And the sunset China, my dear son, Abba. No, say no problem. So drink, do come baby no tea. And tea, Minya would time will do Sunyana. A bit and then the old piano.
We are Yako. We are sitting Yakopon, a pay and away. na nyakopon ni ma bi ho ya ene ni pantiase but are ho eya se ye na ye president afum aja Ghana na Ghana mo menyina yin ni papa ko se de be ye de asundue abeba we ase ye mbegehwe one day pe se de papa se film sa no bia so be de betuma film ara se wo MPP wo NDC wo CPP wo DPP party bi of film bia mo menyina ye ba ko.
Chiefs of Ogwa Traditional Council have expressed their pain over the death of former President John Evans Atta Mills. At a press conference to express their grief, the Krontehene and acting president of the Traditional Council, Nana Faituako, on behalf of the council, expressed their condolences to the bereaved family, especially the former First Lady Ernestina Nadu Mills, and the country as a whole.
Perhaps the most visibly struck area by the professor's death is the Central Region, showing solidarity for a son of their soul. The Ogwa Traditional Council's press conference formally expressed the royals' grave sorrow at the sudden turn of events. The Krontehene and acting president of the Traditional Council, Nana Faituako, also welcomed and congratulated President John Mahama on his new appointment with well wishes for his tenure in office. Still in the region, the people of Elmina also joined the country to mourn the late Professor Mills as they gathered at the Nana Kobina Jan Square to share their grief with one another. A fisherman and the leading member of the NDC, the controversial Manoma, also known as John Kwesen, likened the late president to the death of Jesus Christ and hoped he would rise again, urging people to reward him by voting massively for the NDC. From the Central Region, a report by Gina Apia.
Of course, residents in Koforidua and its environs are pouring their hearts out in grief and shock over the death of Professor Evans Atta Mills last Tuesday. Our correspondent Haruna Yusuf Wumpini has been talking to mourners and has come through with this report.
Even though party and film, because at the end I see my mother fight since 1958. You who is our my mother. I buy beer, but when you have to talk, there's a yapa pay a cantina here. Papa, Miniano, I don't know. President, this time, no politics here out. I will report in Ghana. It's your first citizen and it's a party the whole Ghana and this PNC all parties in
my sister, Vitano Congress, the whole day, Bramini, baby of Kubia.
The news team also visited some regional offices of the political parties, reporting that they were in a state of shock and grief.
The announcement was really a shock to the whole PPP fraternity in the Eastern Regional Executive. So we are deeply regretted to express our condolences to the leadership of the NDC and then the family of our late President Professor Atta Mills, the wife and the family.
executives of the New Patriotic Party NPP in the region also paid courtesy call on the leadership of the NDC at the regional party office to express their condolence and sympathy.
That's never happened before. But so far, the leadership of our country has conducted itself so well to be a good precedent for future generations to make reports to. As our democracy is in inflection stages, this is a test case, and so far Ghana as a country, we have proven to be equal to the test, and that is also demonstrating across the globe that Ghana has come all we are interested in is that people will go beyond the politics, will mourn through that of our hearts.
Now it's not more in the president again. It's a very sad. All NDC members and the Ghanaians are very sympathetic and called together until the regional national secretariat and the family and the government using the statement to how to organize the 1 week. Yeah, now you are waiting for the instruction from the national secretariat.
The NDC regional leadership assured the compatriots that funeral arrangements will be communicated to the leadership of NPP in due course.
And we are still mourning. Indeed, we should. The Volta region, like several other parts of the country, was hit with shock over the news that the president had died at the 37 military hospital in Accra. Moments after the news broke, our reporter Komlado hit the streets of Ho, where people were struck in total disbelief.
Some were listening to radio in loud volumes for credible information, while others wandered about, thinking of what was going to happen next. The principal streets looked deserted, while the NDC party chairman Kwesi Abuaji would not address the media because, as he put it, we are mourning.
The Volta region, like several other parts of the country, was hit with shock over news that the president passed away at the 37 military hospital in Accra. Moments after the news broke, our reporter hit the streets of Ho, where it was obvious people were looking on in total disbelief. Some were listening to the radio in loud volumes for credible information, while others wandered about, thinking of what was going to happen next.
Father, a mentor. In fact, the whole of yesterday, my household we were weeping, crying throughout. But knowing that he's a Christian, I believe he's resting peacefully with the Lord, and the Lord has a plan for this country. Even without him, he would have wished that this country moves on. So may he so rest in perfect peace.
I'm very sad about the death of the president, and I'm very sorry. My condolences to the wife, Nadu Mills, and then all the children and all the Ghanaians. May God, our Busum, help him to rest in peace, in a perfect peace.
I feel very sad about the incident, even though we all have been hearing that he's sick, is not feeling too well. We never thought his death can come all of a sudden, and it has really saddened all of us. So I must say that the whole country is mourning.
The principal street looked deserted, while the NDC party chairman, Kwesi Abuaji, would not address the media because, as he puts it, we are mourning. The Volta region is indeed in a state of shock.
Away from the Volta region, most people in Tamale received the news of Professor Mills's death with shock. A visit to the Central Business District saw a number of shops with pieces of red and black fabric tied to the doors. Some residents tied these red and black fabrics on their motorbikes to show their state of mourning.
The regular meeting places and hangouts of sympathizers and supporters of the NDC was a rather mournful environment as people sat in groups to reflect over the president's death. Our news team captured the mood at the NDC regional headquarters in Tamale.
It was shocking and it was really sad. Death is death and it's really bad. And we don't wish it for anybody, but the president going, it's not something we can rejoice about. It's really sad and we are all very sad about it. I remember when he was leaving for America, and addressing the press about the fake message you said he was dead. I remember the part he spoke and got up and asked, do I look like a dead man? I remember that part. He was so humorous.
Yesterday I was just from regional office to my
On the way to home, when I made a call, he said, Haji Amina, today is over. And I said, what is over? He said, your daddy. May my daddy who our president. May how? So he just cut me off. So that day I was and I just fell down. So I was shocked to hear that our president, my daddy, is dead.
The president is very kind to people, especially the northern region and the whole of the country. The president is doing well and he's doing this thing, developmental projects. So as this time, God willing, the president should rest in peace.
NDC Northern Regional Chairman Sofo Azoka said he could not believe it when the news of the president broke.
His family to exercise patience. His wife, his children, to know that they didn't lose their father. Any good man want to die. Only the bad people don't want to die. May he rest perfect peace.
The chief of Tamale, Dakwena, now Mohammed Al-Hassan Dawouni, paid tribute to the wisdom and peaceful manner in which Professor Mills ruled the nation until his untimely death. He narrated his impression of the president, whom he met some months back.
Oh, President actually is one of the gentlemen that I know and one can talk of. He came to me here some time ago, and after we have met and discussed matters, he invited me to the regional office. One day in the night I met him, he and his chief of staff. I went there with my secretary, and all what I heard from him is still fresh in my mind. President will remain in my mind always.
We also spoke to the chief executive of Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. Ken Sego, who reflected on the good leadership of the late president.
It is important that at this time we pay tribute to him for the work he did, and we pray that those who've taken over from him will also have the same soft spot for the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the UDS School of Medicine and Health Sciences, and be able to support us in developing health systems and health services within the northern sector of this country.
General grief hung over the city of Tamale as you could virtually see the shock in the eyes of the people.
Well, President Mills is dead, but that certainly is no news. But it's newsworthy when, after all the extensive coverage across the networks in Accra and, of course, Ghana, people are still in the dark. Well, if you doubt this, take a watch of this.
President,
Atamisino.
Atamias. Honor president. Now one the vice president.
Pacha Ibrahim, eh? Bisa Ibrahim.
Your friend say?
Ibrahim. Bisa Ibrahim.
Atamis.
And one vice.
Vice, yeah, every mama. Yes, on no advice. A friend of every mama.
Atamiris.
Vice
president. President and no one the minimum
vice president. One vice president.
And mama.
One president of Ghana.
His Excellency Professor Evans Atamis on
one president. One vice.
Don Mahama.
One vice. Into one to say President Wilson.
Me Ghana meet him.
There's one president.
His Excellency Professor Evans Atamis.
What is the name of the vice president?
The name of vice president is John Mahama.
So you have not heard that President Mills is dead?
No.
Well, hopefully they'll catch up with time. Ghana suffered the greatest test of democracy on July 24th between 2:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. when Vice President Dramani Mahama stepped in the shoes of the late President Mills after his untimely death. This being the first time in Ghana's history of losing a sitting president, the constitution of the country was put to the test. Matilda Nyakwa Dennis spoke to some parliamentarians about their views on Ghana's democracy in unforeseen circumstances.
The usual zeal with which parliamentarians contributed on the floor of Parliament has been absent since the sudden death of President Mills, and today was no exception. Clad in mourning clothes, both members of the political divide were in no mood to conduct public business, stating the obvious reason. Few members of the minority were, however, concerned that the country still does not have a vice president. The absence of the term acting president in Ghana's constitution was also a bother to some.
Article 68 provides whenever the president is absent from Ghana or is for any other reason unable to perform the functions of his office, the vice president shall perform the functions of the president until the president returns or is able to perform his functions. The vice president performs the functions of the president as vice president. The term or designation acting president is unknown to the Constitution. Now, Article 66 then provides whenever the president dies, resigns, or is removed from office, the vice president shall assume office as president for the unexpired term of the office of the president with effect from the date of the death, resignation, or removal of the president.
The communication said that in his absence,
yes,
the vice president shall act as president. But he didn't become absent, because it seems to me that subsequently he didn't travel. So I think the vice president is enough.
Speaker of Parliament Justice Bamford Ado, however, did not want the debate to be expanded due to time constraints. She suspended sitting for an hour, which later turned out to be 2. After Parliament reconvened, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament Joe Ajaho continued proceedings at the request of the Speaker. However, proceedings could not continue since the Minister of Energy expected to present the National Petroleum Regulations 2012 earlier phoned in sick. Joe Ajaho adjourned proceedings until Friday, July 27.
You're still watching Joy News at 8.
Yes, right here on Joy News Channel on Multi TV. Well, you know that John Mahama has been nominated as the flag bearer. In fact, he's been appointed somehow, but we've got details of that. Welcome back to the rest of the news. And The National Executive Council of the National Democratic Congress has officially nominated President John Dramani Mahama as the flag bearer of the party. President Mahama will need to secure 50% plus one vote not later than September 1, when the party delegates converge at the Special Delegates Congress to confirm his candidature.
Party General Secretary Johnson Asidu Nketia says the decision to endorse President Mahama as flag bearer was in line with Article 50 of the NDC Constitution.
Following the creation of a vacancy in the position of flag bearer of the NDC, occasioned by the sudden demise of His Excellency Professor J.A. Mills on Tuesday, 24th July 2012, who was elected flag bearer and leader of the party at the Sunyani Congress in July 2011. Taking a critical look at the extraordinary circumstances in which the party finds itself at the moment, and having regard to the limitations of time for the election of a flag bearer for the 2012 general elections, and having recognized that there is a lacuna in the NDC constitution, and mindful of the fact that the constitutional period for the election of a flag bearer under Article 44A of the party's constitution has long lapsed, I move that this meeting of the National Executive Committee of the NDC, in exercise of the residual powers conferred on it under Article 50 of the NDC Constitution, calls for a special delegates congress to endorse the leader of the NDC, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as the flag bearer of the NDC to contest the 2012 presidential elections in accordance with due process required under the party's constitution. Moved on behalf of the Parliamentary Caucus of NDC, Honorable Haruna Idrusu, and was seconded by Honorable Danny Annan, Vice Chairman. It has since been endorsed by the Chairman of all the regions, Secretaries of all the regions, and the leadership of PVOs present here. And it was carried unanimously without dissent.
Several NDC stalwarts present at the meeting described the endorsement of President Mahama as the best decision the party could have made at this crucial time.
Have your sitting president, then you choose somebody aside your sitting president. If he's not qualified, how can he be president? Once he's a sitting president, can you step aside a sitting president and appoint somebody else or endorse somebody else? That would be suicidal. Then you don't have faith in your sitting president. We have faith, absolute faith in the sitting president. That is why we have endorsed, proposed to Congress that we want him to be our flag bearer. And looking at the time, are you saying we have to go open nomination again? Meanwhile, our constitution talks us 12 or 24 months before elections.
Is that we should hold our Congress to elect our flag bearer not less than at least 12 months if we are in power before the next elections. And if we are out of power, at least.
So being the president of a nation may seem the best of jobs anyone could think of, but in reality, it is a rather Herculean task. Beyond the stress of being father for all, President John Mahama's tenure could be more difficult as the nation mourns his predecessor. But what are the expectations of Ghanaians, especially from the opposition? Derek Walalom Johnson has been finding out.
President Dramani Mahama is seen as humble and down to earth, which his fans say makes him the perfect replacement for the late Professor John Evans Atta Mills. In a state of mourning and in a crucial election year, what expectation would Ghanaians have of President Mahama? My first point of call was the offices of the minority leader in parliament, Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu. He tells me he expects the president to act as a unifier, bringing reconciliation to the rank and file of the country.
We are clinging too much to factions within political parties. Yes, we do not have too long a time, the new president between now and December is not too long a time. But I hope that even the little time that he has, he use the period to reconcile the nation. So I'm looking forward to reconciliatory statements, gestures from our new president.
Former PNC MP for Zebila, John Ndebugri, first explains why he feels the executive arm of government is breaching the Constitution.
Constitution, Article 60, Clause 10, says that the Vice President, upon assuming the office of President under Clause 6 of that Article 60, shall nominate a person as Vice President subject to parliamentary approval. And in choosing a Vice President, it is in his interest and in the interest of this country to be very cautious, very careful, to look at the people very carefully. Number one, somebody he can work with. Number two, somebody who thinks like him.
However, he has his own expectation anyway.
Ghana suffered the greatest test of democracy July 24th between 2:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. when Vice President John Dramani Mahama stepped in the shoes of late President Mills after his untimely death. This being the first time in Ghana's history to lose a sitting president, the constitution of the country was put to the test. Matilda Nyakwa Dennis spoke to some parliamentarians about their views on Ghana's democracy in unforeseen circumstances.
Yesterday when the president's death came around, I said to myself whether our democracy was matured enough to be tested so violently, if I can use that expression. And I came to the conclusion that as long as this test was beyond our control as mortals, then what was left was to soak it and see to what extent we can deal with it. I likened it very much to every one of us losing a parent or a close relative or somebody that you are really associated with strongly dying all of a sudden. It's not something you can prepare for, but you need to cope with it. What is important is how quickly we're able to. But I believe that our transition yesterday to get the vice president to take office as president was another feather in our cap as a young democratic country that is ready to play by the rules and obey the rules and take every event that shakes our democratic dispensation with some confidence that we can overcome any tragedy that tries to shake the very foundation of our democracy. I believe that as long as we haven't run
Welcome back to Business Segment right here on Joy News channel on Multi TV. In our first story, the Ghana Revenue Authority has launched the self-assessment policy document which would allow taxpayers to assess their own tax liability and file a return on the self-assessed tax. This in part ongoing reforms at the Ghana Revenue Authority is aimed at simplifying and modernizing Ghana's tax system.
The self-assessment scheme is to replace the existing provisional assessment, where the taxpayer would now assess his tax obligation and file a return on the self-assessed tax. It aims at improving overall compliance with tax laws and sustains confidence in the tax system and its administration. The policy is also expected to develop a healthy relationship between taxpayers and tax administrators.
The hitherto dispensation whereby taxpayers and tax administrators look at each other from the angle of the tax administrator, wielding an axe, waiting at the gate or window of the offending taxpayer, has become an issue of the past. The full introduction of a self-assessment regime is in the long run expected to improve tremendously a much-needed cooperation between the taxpayer and the tax administrator.
The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, George Blankson, at the launch of the self-assessment policy, noted the old policy had flaws which the new policy would correct.
The biggest advantage of all, in my view, even to the tax administrator, is that this way the tax administration then has a basis on which they can come back, look into your books, and then say that what you declared is right or wrong. And if it's wrong, you are to pay this additional amount, or that you apply the rules wrongly, so we have to refund to you this much. That's only circumstance under which this can make sense.
He also called for a change.
Now, the hassle of receiving claims from the state insurance company will now be made easy. Victims of one disaster or the other can now fill their claim forms online and just wait for negotiations to start. Now, that's easy. It was revealed at the company's 5th AGM today.
This actually involves the use of the internet and mobile technology to process clients' insurance requests online from the comfort of their office, home, or any other location. All claimants will have to do is provide evidence of disaster by providing a photo together with all necessary documents on the company's website. With the e-insurance, motor insurance customers can now renew their insurance policies remotely without having to physically visit any SIC office or agent. The company has created an infrastructure that will allow its customers to go online to renew their policies and generate an invoice number which they will use to make payments at a designated bank. All existing customers of SIC Insurance can use this service to renew their policies and initiate a claim. However, new and potential customers would have to visit an agent or office to take up a policy before they can use the service in subsequent periods. But this has raised fear of increased fraudulent activities. Nonetheless, Acting Director of SIC, Mrs. Doris Awo Nkani, assured the public measures have been put in place to curb such occurrences with introduction of the e-insurance package.
Claims are not going to be settled online. You fill the forms because you need to fill the forms and tell us that yes, these are the reliefs I'm seeking. And what I'm saying is that we can't do those ones online. But if you have an amputee, then we can't have the amputee picture.
Nice to have you join us on E-News, where we bring you stories from the world of entertainment. My name is Gladys Osei Oredu. E-News is brought to you by Airtel. The death of President John Evans Atta Mills stunned the entire nation. Only few people trooped to bars to mourn in their own way, with friends and sympathizers. It is about 10:20 in the night, and Accra seems asleep. One wonders if there could be anybody at all outside their home. We drove past Vienna City at Kwame Nkrumah Circle, and the place looked very empty, and so was Old Timers in Adabraka. When we inquired why there were no patrons, we found out patrons who showed up earlier were too sad and they did not stay for long. We continued with our town drive and stopped over at Epos in Osu. Even though the place wasn't jamming, there were just a handful of patrons who had gathered here with some friends to mourn the night away.
Obviously, it's because the president is dead. Yeah. So I came here with my friends to sit out and then, mourn him as well.
Okay, I heard about the death, but I'm here to crack bottles myself. It's not about the death.
I was shocked. I cried, man. Because of him, I didn't even do my hair. That's why I invited all my loved ones here so that we can cry, sing, do everything in the name of Atta Mills, man.
Indeed, the death of Ghana's President Professor John Evans Fifi Atta Mills has served as a wake-up call to Ghanaians to strengthen our bond as one people. Still in the morning mood, the I'm in Love with Bomaye reality show household also joined the whole nation to mourn the passing of President Mills. Ken Bomaye asked everyone to observe a minute's silence in honor of the president, after which they all dressed up in black to symbolize their sorrow. And cold day in the house last Tuesday as the maidens, after receiving the news of the passing of the president, switched into a solemn mood to mourn him. The maidens this afternoon expressed their deepest sorrow to the family of President Mills and Ghana.
I, on behalf of other Nigerians living in Ghana and across, want to wish Ghanaians in this time of their bereavement fortitude to bear the loss of the President, His Excellency John Evans Atta Mills.
Nenema de iniminge manom jio. Wachangwane buo. Eko chawami. Se wape kai. Ne wafoya hale. Ne bua jonga hene nge feko.
I just want to tell and urge all my fellow Ghanaians that we just have to be strong and be united and to stand firm and build up a greater nation to make him happy wherever he is.
Nanka was said to them Ponyankopomano and repeat now otwa ejumapa washase awo manimu.
Mbenyame yenye sugri yina mbori yina mentori tizawabe boyina frale selo wana.
We've lost a great man, a great father, a great president, President Evans Atta Mills. May your soul rest in perfect peace.
Young man paying John Evans Fifi Atta Mills. Yamin Crow. Hello there, good evening. Time now for sports on Joy News on Multi TV. My name is Rashida Kadiri. Now, Ghana's under-20 male side, the Black Satellites, are expected in Kampala at about 100 hours GMT ahead of an African Youth Championship qualifier. The 2009 African World Youth Champions will play the Hippos of Uganda at the Nakivubo Stadium on Saturday in a first leg tie. The winner of the two-legged tie will face either Morocco or Gambia in September and October. The finals of the 2013 African Youth Championship will be held in Algeria. Meanwhile, the Federation of Uganda Football Association President Lawrence Mulwanda has given all clear for the players to wear black armbands during the game on Saturday following the death of President John Evans Atta Mills last Saturday at the 37 Military Hospital. Now, still on football, Ghana's Black Princesses failed to win a second time of the Falconets of Nigeria in the second of a double-header friendly encounter played at the Accra Sports Stadium. 2 goals from Nigerian striker Desire Operanozi ensured that Ghana lost the game 2-1.
The game saw Ghana and Nigeria renew their rivalry in the female side. Ghana began the game well as they played absolutely well, leaving the Nigerians in full pressure. The likes of Messi Mouse and Elizabeth Ado made the first half very comfortable for the Princesses. In the 30th minute, a nice combination by the Princesses gave Ghana the lead. In the second half, the Nigerians came fully into the game and they gave the Princesses a tough game. Perfect cross by Sunday Ilori connected by Operanozi Desire gave Nigerians the equalizer. The Nigerians kept pushing to get the winning goal. Brilliant saves from Ghanaian safety pair of hands kept Ghana still in the game. In the latter part of the game, a loose Ghanaian defense left the Nigerians with no option than to score the winning goal, which made the game 2-1 in favor of the Nigerians at the end of the full 90 minutes. This makes the score 4-4 on aggregate. Ghana and Nigeria are the sole competitors of Africa in the upcoming Japan 2012 World Cup.
So we're back to the news, and service commanders today met with President John Mahama at the castle to pledge their allegiance to his administration.
They were led by the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Peter Augustine Blay. They also swore to protect and defend the Constitution at all costs, while extending their condolence to the family of the late President John Evanson Mills. And that's it for the news at 8. Do join us again at 11 p.m. I am Derek Olalom Johnson.
And I am Gifty Ando-Apia, and we're wishing the former First Lady Mrs. Nadu Mills our condolences and asking that she keeps strong in these trying times. Have a good night.